Hello, welcome to this video. Welcome to the cool library. I'm Ellen, your librarian, and today we're talking about movies, specifically the movies that I watched in June and July of this year, which is not a lot. This should hopefully not be a very long video because I only watched 8 movies. June was only 3 movies. I've been really slacking on my movie watching and I am so very sorry. I would also like to apologize for the mess that is my room. I didn't have time to clean up before filming this, so you're getting a little bit of a mess. So I watched a total of 872 minutes of movies, which is about like 14 and a half hours of movie watching that I did. Although you could say it was more because one of these movies that I watched it 4 times in the theaters. So for lengths of movies, I only watched 2 movies that were over 2 hours long. The rest were all pretty average amount of movie length. Movie genres, I mainly watched adventure, but I also watched some comedy and an action movie. Most of the movies I watched were digitally, but then I also watched 3 in the theaters and I watched 1 as a physical copy. Breaking down the digital movies, I watched 2 Netflix movies, 1 Disney movie, and 1 movie on Prime. The ratings of the movies mostly were PG-13, but there were also some PG, R, and TVG. Now this one might be the most important graph. It's my star ratings of the movies, mainly 3.5s. So very average movie watching month, but there are also some 4.5s in there and a few others. Of note, I think you do see a 1.5, which is definitely so far my least favorite movie of the year. This graph isn't really that interesting, but most of the movies I watched for 2024 releases, I had one that was 2015. The gender of the directors were mostly male, which is not surprising, but I do have 2 females in there. Also, most of them were American directors. There was one that had multiple directors. I believe there were 2 directors, and one of them was not American. So I didn't really know what to categorize that movie because it was an American and a non-American. So I just said there were multiple nationalities. Unfortunately, most of the directors were also not POC, which stands for people or person of color. Is there LGBTQ plus representation in the movies that I watched? Unfortunately, most of them did not have LGBTQ plus representation. And the ones that did have it, it wasn't within the main character. It was just as a side character. So, and then last stat I want to talk about is, were any of these movies based off of true stories? 2 of them were based off of true stories. Stats aren't really as exciting when there's not that many movies to discuss. And I will also mention that one of these movies did make me cry and laugh. So let's just get into the movies. The first movie that I have to talk about is A Family Affair, which is going in the 3.5 category. Okay, so A Family Affair, what that is about. The only thing worse than being the assistant to a high-maintenance movie star who doesn't take you seriously, finding out he's smitten with your mom. So we have Zac Efron, we have Nicole Kidman, we have Joey King. So Zac Efron is playing a celebrity, which not hard for him. Joey King is playing his assistant. He's, you know, very typical, I feel like, of a celebrity in the sense that has a little bit of like narcissism within him. But he does also have these moments where he can be a little bit vulnerable. But to Joey King's character, he is very much a pain in her butt and is very annoying and does not like working for him. But her mom, who's played by Nicole Kidman, her and Zac Efron's character kind of have like a romance. And then of course Joey King's character finds out and is very disturbed because she has seen him do this to other women and then like immediately break their heart, and she does not want that to happen to her mom. We do also have Kathy Bates play Nicole Kidman's mom, who seems to very much be the voice of reason for all of them. This movie overall was just okay. I'm giving it a 3.5 because I think I did like it more than I thought I would, but it is just like your typical comedy that also wasn't really that funny. And it also just kind of felt very similar to The Idea of You, but I thought The Idea of You did it better. I feel like that had definitely a lot more heart, while this one was trying like too hard to be comedic about everything. So overall, it was just okay. I didn't mind it and I didn't hate it, but it also was just a very average movie. So next we have Descendants: Rise of Red, which is my 1.5. Now here's the thing. I love the Descendants franchise. I love most of the movies in that franchise. I think Descendants 3 had a lot of plot holes, but overall was still a fun time. This movie was a disgrace to the franchise and was pure garbage. I also think that this movie should have never been made for multiple reasons. Number one, you have pretty much your entire cast not coming back for the movie for legitimately good reasons to not come back. I mean, one of the main if you don't know that it's this Descendants franchise, this is a Kenny Ortega franchise. We love Kenny Ortega on this channel. We are huge fans of his. Kenny Ortega did not have anything to do with this movie, but he did the Descendants franchise. There were 3 movies. They're Disney Channel original movies, and they're following the descendants of Disney villains and Disney princesses, all of that stuff. But they were always planning on doing a 4th movie, but when one of your main characters die, like the actor who plays one of the main characters, when he dies and the rest of your cast doesn't want to come back because they don't feel right doing a Descendants movie without him, I respect that 100%. And I also agree that I feel like there shouldn't be a Descendants movie without him. They still made this movie, and we did have one of the main characters come back. We had Uma come back, which I love Uma. But this movie is so bad. It is badly written to the point where I'm asking a Disney movie to be longer because the pacing was absolutely trash and none of the movie made sense. I could go into a whole rant about, honestly, just the writing in general, but I will actually link a video down below of someone who I follow on YouTube who has done a rant review of this movie. Most of the stuff I agree with her, so I will link that down below if you want to get more thoughts on why this movie is awful. But yeah, and I didn't really like any of the songs. I was not into any of it at all. You know, this was just a really bad movie. The only saving grace for this movie is Rita Ora, who is playing the Queen of Hearts. She, I thought, did a fantastic job at playing a villain. Like, she was convincing as a villain. But I didn't like her song. I think they were just trying too hard to do rap and put rap into every single song, and it just, to me, didn't work. Lots of thoughts and reasons about why this is a terrible, awful movie, and you should not watch it. But we're just gonna leave it at that. Next we have Fly Me to the Moon, which we're also putting at 3.5. So Fly Me to the Moon is based off of a true story. So with this, this also is kind of like a rom-com set in NASA. Sparks fly in all directions as marketing maven Kelly Jones, brought in to fix NASA's public image, wreaks havoc on Apollo 11 launch director Cole Davis's already difficult task of putting a man on the moon. When the White House deems the mission too important to fail, Jones is directed to stage a fake moon landing as backup, and the countdown truly begins. So we have Scarlett Johansson, who is playing this marketing genius, Kelly, and then we have Channing Tatum playing Cole, who is the director of the NASA Apollo 11 mission. My biggest issue with the movie is Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum. I think they're great on their own, but they had no chemistry with each other, and we're supposed to believe that these two are falling for each other, and I just didn't believe it. We had Anna Garcia, who I love because I've been watching her on Dropout TV, which I love Dropout TV. And so seeing her in this was a very nice surprise. I was not expecting to see her, actually. And Woody Harrelson playing someone you don't want to root for was also very interesting. Because I love Woody Harrelson, but like he was kind of playing an evil guy, and also I also couldn't really believe his character either. I don't know. It's like you have these great actors, but I feel like them all together was just not really working. Like they're great individually, but together I don't think they worked. But I did enjoy the story and I was invested in that. But overall, it was just okay. Okay, next we have Hitman, which is going in the 4-star. I have really fallen in love with Glenn Powell this summer. I kind of fell in love with him after like Top Gun Maverick. And of course, then I watched Anyone But You for the first time in May, and now Hitman, and then we're gonna also talk about Twisters. But like, the more I watch Glenn Powell, the more I am falling in love with him. I've made him my phone's background. I don't know if you can see that, it might be too bright. But he is now my phone background. And pretty much all of my like Instagram, TikTok content has just been Glenn Powell. So let's talk about the movie Hitman, which is also based off of a true story. But in this one, we have a mild-mannered professor who is moonlighting as a fake hitman in police stings, which then ignites a chain reaction of trouble when he falls for a potential client. So this is technically a rom-com, and I found this to be very fun. It has a very like action plot line going on because we have this guy who is pretending to be multiple different types of hitman. So I liked seeing Glenn Powell take on a lot of different types of characters. But then there's also this like plot within that movie of him portraying all these different types of people to then get the police to arrest them. We also have this romance that's going on between one of the clients that he is like, I don't want her to get arrested and go to jail, so I will convince her to not hire me. But then, like, she starts falling for him, he starts falling for her, and now he's, like, still being this guy. He's like, yeah, I'm a hitman, let's be together. But that romance is now affecting a lot of his other operations and stings, and now the police are, like, trying to... It gets very complicated. I don't want to, like, say too much, but it does get very complicated, and the ending is wild, to be honest. Was not expecting it to really go there, but it went there, and I really appreciated it, honestly. I really do like this movie, and I think it was a very fun time. It's just, you know, it's not an all-time favorite, but it was a fun time, and I really liked it. You know, it was also a very fun time? The movie Twisters. Which I am giving 4.5. It was so close to being a 5-star movie. So I did also rewatch the first movie, Twister, in preparation for this movie, even though I did also hear that this movie didn't really, like, you don't have to watch the first one in order to watch this one. It's not really like a remake, and it's not really like a sequel. It's like its own take on Twister, but I still watch Twister. I don't have Twister in here because I don't include rewatches in these wrap-ups. I only want to talk about the new movies that I've been watching, which is also like very true. Like, you don't need to watch the first one for this. Like, they're very like different from each other. The only similarity between the two movies is that there's twisters. And they do make a few references to the first movie, but they're not like necessary for the plot or the story. It's just like fun little like hidden gems for the people who've watched the first one. But for Twisters, as storm season intensifies, the paths of former storm chaser Kate Carter and reckless social media superstar Tyler Owens collide when terrifying phenomena never seen before are unleashed. The pair and their competing teams find themselves squarely in the paths of multiple storm systems converging over central Oklahoma in the fight of their lives. So yeah, you've got two competing groups of people chasing twisters. I also know a lot of really like fun facts about this movie, but I'm not going to put them in here because we just want to talk about the movie specifically. But this movie was so fun. I went to the theater 4 times to see it. each time was for different reasons. I feel like I need to clarify. The first time I went to go see it, it was for an early release. It was coming out, I was seeing it 2 days before its release in the theater, and it had a Q&A with the cast. Granted, I thought the cast was going to be there in person for the Q&A, but it was not. They were live streamed onto the big screen. But of course, when I went to go get the tickets for this, I got them a little too late, so I was like front row for this Q&A. So I was really close to the screen. And it kind of hurt my eyes to watch the movie. So I was like, I'm gonna see it again. So, but like be further away from the screen so I can actually like watch it and have it not hurt my eyes and give me a headache. So I did that. And then the third time I watched it, I saw it in 4DX, which was wild. It was definitely fun to watch this movie in 4DX. Unfortunately, I think the water might have been broken when I went to go see it because I had the button say water on because I wanted the water on. I want it to get soaking wet, and there was no water. And I was looking around and like I did see like the people next to me, they also had water on, and like nobody in that theater got wet. So it must have been like maybe the water was broken or something, but still really fun experience. The seats were like moving erratically. I wanted like a seat belt because I was flying out of my seat. And there was also like fog and like wind and, you know, debris was hitting your feet. So you really felt like you were in the movie and really immersed, which was a fun time. And then I also saw it the fourth time because I went to, a friend wanted to go see it, and I was like, I'll be happy to go see it again with you. And after the movie, we both agreed the two reasons why I'm not giving this movie 5 stars. Because this movie would get 5 stars because of how much fun it is. And I do think it's also, like, the CGI is great. I think the story is fantastic. The acting is really great. The chemistry between all of the characters is great. But 2 reasons that is not a 5 star. Number 1, I don't think Glenn Powell got soaking wet enough in that scene. You know, like that scene where he's wearing a white shirt and he's walking in the rain. Like, everyone, like, is freaking out about that scene. They're like, oh my god, so hot. And I'm like, yes, he is hot, walking in the rain with a white t-shirt on. But I feel like he needs to be more soaking wet. Especially because she is, when she's in that same rain, she is soaking wet. And he was just like a little bit wet. And I was like, he needed to be more wet in that scene. Not believable. And then the second reason is because I felt blue-balled. There should have been a kiss at the end. And I did read up as to why they didn't put a kiss in the end, because they did film a kiss. I saw the footage of them filming a kiss in the airport scene, but Steven Spielberg took the kiss out because he said it made the movie too cliched. And my question is, why do you think people are going to see this movie? Anyway, so those are the only 2 reasons why it's not a 5 star. But other than that, I genuinely loved this movie. And I think everybody should go see this movie. Okay, the next movie we have is Space Cadet, which is going in the 3 star. I will argue that this movie is not good. And like, I can understand why people want to give it maybe like 2 stars. Like, I get it. But I also didn't hate it. Like, I feel like 2 and 1 stars are reserved for like movies that I really didn't like. But Space Cadet, let me talk about what this movie is about. So we have Tiffany Simpson, who goes by Rex, who is also played by Emma Roberts. She has always dreamed of going to space. And her doctored application lands her in NASA's ultra-competitive astronaut training program. In over her head, can this Florida girl rely on her quick wits, moxie, and determination to get through training and into the cosmos before she blows her cover? So yeah, so we have Florida girl who is really smart and bright in certain areas, but not to the like NASA level. She ends up getting into the NASA program because her friend kind of changes some stuff on her application and makes her seem more qualified than she actually is. And she finds out about this maybe like halfway through, so she thinks that she genuinely got into this program. And a lot of these people are very like reserved and like to the book and very smart and like logical, analytical, and she is very much an out-of-the-box thinker and kind of like carefree and wild. And then there's also like this little like side plot of like a romance between her and one of the directors of the NASA program, which I don't think was necessary. And I think like the director wouldn't have made a lot of the decisions that he made in this movie. So I think like character-wise, I don't think this movie was well done. And writing-wise, it was like very cheesy. But I don't mind cheesy as long as I'm having a fun time with the cheesiness. And so this movie I liked. It's like a very low on the liked scale. Like I think so far this is still in my like bottom 10 movies of the year. So it's not a great movie, but again, had a fun time with it. So that's why it's a little higher up than I think I normally would have put it. Okay, lastly, I'm going to lump these two movies together, but we have Inside Out and we have Inside Out 2. Because I watched Inside Out for the very first time this year. I had never watched it before. And so Inside Out, I gave a 4.5. And then Inside Out 2, I gave a 3.5. So Inside Out, the first movie, we're following all of these different emotions within this like preteen girl's head. And then in Inside Out 2, those emotions are now going through puberty, and we have added a couple new emotions that are trying to take over, like anxiety and, you know, push away all the other emotions like joy. I really enjoyed the first one, Inside Out. It was so close to making me cry. It was so close, but I didn't cry. I didn't do it. I think it was super well done. I loved the ending of that too, and you know, the lessons learned within this movie that like, you know, joy and sadness can come together and all of the emotions can come together and it still be a formative part of this girl's life, because they all care about this girl, that like they're the emotions of this girl and they want her to have a good life. And I love that like this is all about really joy, learning about what it means to be a human, and that you do kind of need the other emotions. You can't just be joyful and happy all of the time. So I liked that message. And then I also thought this was like super creative. This, as well as Inside Out 2, like it's super creative in how they have like visualized the inside of someone's mind and how like it all works, and seeing that visually was very well done, I think. I'm trying to like come to terms with like why I didn't like Inside Out 2 as much as the first one. I don't know, I just didn't really feel that connection to the characters and to the storyline like I did with the first one. I also think in the second one, the story was a little harder to follow than the first one. Like I get she's going through her puberty stage and a lot of things are changing and things are getting out of control. But I also just, I don't know. I thought I was going to be able to connect because like I've also been through puberty and like made some like terrible decisions as a teenager, and also like started getting anxiety and dealing with anxiety and knowing what that's like. And I think like visually it's done very well, but at the same time story-wise it just didn't really hit as much as the first one. And I'm not sure why that is. And I think it was just like, it was a little hard to follow. Also, I think like adding some other characters and some more emotions, there were like so many characters that it was kind of hard to give them all the same amount of screen time. But anyway, still had a fun time watching it. And this is the ranking of the movies. So we had Twisters all the way at the top, and then at the bottom, Descendants, Rise of Red, for obvious reasons. It was pure garbage. Okay, so now that we've done movies, we can move on to TV shows. I also didn't watch a lot of TV shows. I only have 5 to talk about. The first TV show I have to talk about is Abbott Elementary Season 3. Oh, how about we start recording? That might work. Abbott Elementary Season 3 is going in the like category. I really like this show. I think it's very funny, and season 3 was also very good, and I enjoyed it a lot. You're gonna see with TV shows, I don't usually have a whole lot to say. I just either like it or I don't. But no, I really liked Abbott Elementary season 3. I think this is a fantastic show that people should definitely be watching. Next we have Bridgerton season 3 part 2, which is going in the like. I think I liked part 2 more than part 1. There were just some decisions that the creators made that I just don't agree with, and I don't think should have been made. Mainly, I don't think they should have revealed who Whistledown is to everybody, because that's kind of like the whole point of Lady Whistledown, is that she's anonymous and no one knows who she is. I feel like I really wish what they would have done instead was just have like the Queen and their immediate family know about it and then move on. I don't know. I mean, I liked the speech that Penelope gave, but I don't know. I don't know like what's going to happen now with the rest of the seasons. It really feels like they're really deviating from the books now. But I did see that our next Bridgerton season is going to be with Benedict. And I'm very excited because I love Benedict. I think he's the best of all the siblings. But I'm curious to see where they're going to go with not only Benedict, but with Eloise and Francesca, with them now going to be in Scotland. Like, they're still going to be a part of the series, right? And please tell me Anthony and Kate are going to come back, because they were also the best part of this season. Like, every time they were on the screen, I was smiling so big. I also didn't like this season as much because of the wedding. Like, you know, they're getting married and it's supposed to be like a happy moment, but I couldn't help but just feel sad because they're in a fight right now, like a pretty big fight that's very much like this could ruin their whole entire relationship. And they're getting married and I'm supposed to be happy about it, but I'm not. Instead, I'm feeling uncomfortable and sad. So didn't really appreciate that, but still enjoy the show Bridgerton, and I'm excited to see what they do with the next season. Hopefully they do well. So next we have Very Important People, which is also a like. This is a Dropout TV show. I have a subscription to Dropout TV because I really enjoy their content. This is an improv show. So we have people, actors who are typically on Dropout TV, but we have actors who are getting makeup put on them and like they're really getting changed into a totally different character, but they have no idea who they're getting changed into. And then once they see their character, they're all made up and done, they have to create a character with what they're seeing on the spot and then go do an interview with Vic Michaelis. And the whole interview is just improvised the entire time, and they have to like create a story as to why these people are important people and are people that need to be interviewed for whatever. And it was very fun and creative, and I liked it. It's not like a love. I didn't love the show. Again, don't know how to explain why something is a love and not a like or something. And I also did watch the episodes that were behind the scenes of like creating certain characters, like with the makeup artists and the director. So that was fun. Another Dropout show is Game Changer. I watched season 6 and it is a love. I think season 6 of Game Changer was the best season it's ever had. I don't think there was an episode I didn't like, and I was truly enjoying everything about Game Changer. Game Changer is a game show, but it's a different game every episode. So the people playing have no idea what game they're going to play. They just kind of have to learn as they're playing. The standout episodes for me were definitely Simon Says 3. I think they really went off the rails with the Simon Says, or the Sam Says, sorry, Sam Says. And then Beat the Buzzer was also a favorite episode for sure. That was so fun. And I can't imagine the amount of work that went into that episode. Second Place was also a standout episode. Just like, I think having Brennan on that episode was a brilliant idea, because he's very much the person that like needs to win and needs to come in first. But the whole concept is to come in second. And so you just see Brennan like toiling with himself in his mind, and it's just so funny. And then Bingo was also, I think, one of my favorite episodes. Like, these are episodes I've watched multiple times because I love them so much. But Bingo was also just so interesting because it felt very much like Inception. You have people playing bingo, but then you have people playing bingo on those people playing bingo, and then you have people playing bingo on the people playing bingo on the people playing bingo. Yeah, no, it was it was funny and it was fun. And I feel like with that episode, there were so many ways it could have gone wrong. But everything ended up working out the way I think Sam wanted it to work out. Anyway, Game Changer Season 6 was my favorite season for sure. And then we lastly have Ghosts Season 3, which is also, let me put this in an order. Hold on. Yeah, which is also very much alike. This show is a show that I very much enjoy. And Season 3, you know, it's just like all the other seasons. It's a very fun time. It has some cheesiness to it. But Ghosts, it's a very fun comedy show. Sitcom. I was like, what is the actual term? So this is actually, this is a sitcom with this couple. They own this B&B now. And one of them can see the ghosts that are in this B&B, and they've all kind of like become friends at this point and are very playful and fun with each other. But I just love the concept of her husband who can't see them but just goes along with everything that's happening and is like, okay, I guess I gotta go cook a dinner for a ghost now. And it's very fun and very funny, and I like it a lot. And there you have it. Those are the TV shows and my ranking of them. Did not watch a whole lot of stuff this summer so far. I'm gonna try and change that in August and September. I'm gonna try and watch more stuff for you guys. But that is it. I also have a wrap up for all of the books that I read in the months of June and July, which I have linked down below. So I hope you will also go and watch that, because I did also read quite a bit of books. I definitely read more books than I watched movies. But yeah, that is it for this video, and I will see you guys later with more videos.